Since we're getting Invincible Season 3 in about 3 to 4 days, I might as well post a video or two discussing it to boost my sub count. After all, that is what the ladies tend to look at the most, as well as sponsors. Ranting aside, I'm not joking when I say that Dinosaurus is probably one of the best comic book villains to ever grace the word existence. I mean seriously, he does MCU Thanos better than MCU Thanos. But just like exceptions to the rule, there's probably people out there who don't know who Dinosaurus is in the Invincible comics. So let me explain to you half sarcastically who he is and what he's all about. Dinosaurus' real name is David Anders, whose first appearance is issue number 68, and his last appearance is issue number 100. David Anders himself is just some normal dude who looks fairly similar to Rudy, and his personality amounts to what your average Joe would be if he knew he could cause chaos out of boredom. Overall, his accomplishments are not really that outstanding, and the only thing he proves is that you can actually make the everyman character interesting. But as for his persona, Dinosaurus is easily one of the most complex characters in Invincible. His appearance is, well, a dinosaur, and his personality when he's not committing mass genocide is actually pretty nice. You know, he's just one of those guys that'll take the opportunity you give him and ruin your entire reputation with it. Oh no, wait, I'm referencing the wrong person. Much better. His accomplishments, as I just said, is tricking a young superhero into helping him commit crimes against humanity after he realizes that he has the Thanos effect. As for his powers, you could say that other than making old people feel young with just his look, he also has an IQ much higher than this guy. But now that I've covered everything you could know about this guy without reading the comic, it's time I talk about why even though he's a dinosaur, he's still the absolute GOAT. Dinosaurus has got to be one of the best written characters out of the entire cast, with his motivations of ensuring the survival of humanity being the best part of his character, as even though his methods are downright villainous, it shows how far he is willing to go to keep humanity safe. And it's even better when you realize that Cecil and Final Stage Rudy would do almost the same thing if they knew how much humanity would benefit. Of course, I should also mention the genius symbolism of Dinosaurus being a literal dinosaur who's trying to stop humanity from ending up as the 6th mass extinction. But I'd be remiss if I forgot to mention how cool his powers are. Being able to mildly harm Mark while thinking 20 steps ahead of him is pretty sweet, as dealing with a mastermind villain is always a joy to read, and it gets even better when they question the hero's morality in his decision making. Speaking of which, Dinosaurus is one of the few characters to actually change either the main character or the story on a massive scale, whether it be making Mark kill him after they both fuck up on a very large scale, forcing him to work for Cecil in order to not go to jail, or by teaming up with Mark after he realizes that Dinosaurus was right in committing mass genocide. Also, his first appearance is extremely well done, showcasing how Dinosaurus cares for humanity and its longevity, but also his short-sightedness, only focusing on giving jobs to more people without realizing the full extent of what he's asking for, a point that was later brought up by Mark in one of their final confrontations, in which Dinosaurus realized that he's more likely making the problem worse than actually solving it, causing him to beg Mark to kill him as he concludes that someone like him shouldn't be allowed to live, because even though he's pure intelligence, that comes at the cost of any humanity he could have. His death is also one of the best in the entire comic, as both his first appearance and his last appearance showed every single aspect of his character in one small detail or another. After all, the best way to do a character in fiction is to have their first and last scene exhibit almost every important thing about them. And while we're on the topic of character appearances, I myself happen to be an avid connoisseur of superhero comics, and as such made my own. You can find it on WEBTOON Canvas under the name Deadman Origins. It's just a neat little side project I mentioned in one of my last videos that'll definitely piss you off, so be sure to check it out after you leave a comment mentioning your favorite character in Invincible. Also, before I end this video, let me just explain that this character was so good that I made an entire complex out of him. The Dinosaurus Complex, I call it. It's basically another way of saying how good intentions and a high IQ can lead to some very horrible things. Just thought it was worth pointing out. Also, it made the video longer. This is Future Nightmare speaking. I'm currently adding this in post mostly because I forgot to say a couple of things. Number 1, I'll be doing a video ranking some of my favorite comic book villains down the line, so stay tuned for that. And number 2, wait, what was it again? Alright, I'm going to be making more videos on or about Invincible pretty soon, so be sure to subscribe if you like listening to nerds all day. Oh, and don't pay attention to the fine print that the next video won't be about Invincible. Also, I wanted to shout out Jellygalactoa since they are responsible for creating this background, and I'm just over here using a blurred version of it. They're a pretty good artist and even have some interesting videos. You are my dad. Even though they haven't been active for a while, I'd still think it'd be best to give them credit. Not just because they could probably DMCA my ass and get away with it, but also because it makes me feel like Mr. Beast before his controversy. Real quick, if y'all enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe so I can flex on the hoes and the haters. Also, follow my socials so that you'll know when I post a new video. And if you really enjoy my content, then consider checking out my Patreon, where I give weekly behind the scene updates, as well as an archive for all my videos. You can also get your name featured on the end credits, as well well as early access to the first 2 minutes of all my videos, which also include this one. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next week.